milele, wa milele, Mungu wetu ni wa milele, haleluya, ni wa milele, haleluya, ni wa milele, asifiwe.
My name is Dr. Andrew Browning. I'm an Australian gynaecologist who's been working in Ethiopia for the last 8 years. Women in Ethiopia and across much of the developing world have a very difficult time in their lives. From the moment they're able, they're really sent out as young girls to do the hard physical work for the family. There's rarely any schools in the villages that they grow up in, and if there is a school, usually the boys will go to school in preference to the young girls. And also when it comes time to eat, the girls will be partaking in gathering the food, the water and cooking. But when it comes time to eat, usually what happens is the men will eat, the boys will eat, the older women will eat, and if there's anything left over, the young girls will eat. So they grow up quite malnourished, illiterate and doing the hard physical work. And it's like that through all out their lives. They have very little in the way of luxuries. Especially when it comes, as me as a gynaecologist, it's especially important for the time in their life that it comes to have a baby. For most women in the world, to have a baby is a particularly joyous and exciting time. But for the women in Ethiopia, and again across much of the developing world, they really face the very real threat of dying trying to have a baby, or at the very least getting some sort of injury that they may carry with them for the rest of their lives. For example, in Afar area of Ethiopia, 1 in 12 women will die trying to have a baby during their lifetime, which not only leaves a husband without a wife, but often leaves young children growing up without their mother, a very difficult start to their lives. Some women might survive a long, difficult labour, but get injuries for which they often wish they had died during their labour. For example, Ayuba. She's about 45 and she tried to have her third child in her village, but had a very long, 4-day, difficult labour. During that long labour, her child died and she delivered a stillborn child, but also got a fistula, or a hole, between her bladder and birth canal, a rectum and birth canal, because of the long labour pressing against those tissues. She was completely incontinent of urine and faeces. Her husband divorced her, and her family more or less rejected her. And Ayuba lived in isolation because of these injuries and incontinence for 14 years. These injuries, called fistulae, and this maternal death that is so prevalent there is largely, if not all, preventable. If only Afar region and much of Africa had good access to good maternal obstetric care during their lifetimes. The Barbara May Foundation is seeking to provide safe obstetric care for women during this time in their lives. The first project that this is going to be happening is in an area of Ethiopia called the Afar area. It's an area that has the reputation of being the hottest inhabited place in the world. It's got very little in the way of resources. It's got very little in the way of anything for women during labour, except for an organisation there called the Afar Pastoralist Development Association, run by Valerie Browning, an Australian midwife. In place already is 450 trained birth attendants, helping women during their antenatal time and during their deliveries in the villages, and also 180 health attendants who can also perform safe deliveries equipped with simple delivery kits, which consists of a clean mat to deliver on, a pair of gloves, some soap to keep things clean, something clean to tie and cut the cord. All these health workers and birth attendants know which women are at risk during labour and know which ones need medical attention, but as yet there's nowhere for them to get that medical attention. So far, what is in place is the 450 birth attendants in the villages, the health workers in waiting areas where women can deliver on a transport road, and also we're building a maternity centre equipped to deliver ladies with anything that's needed up to caesarean section and blood transfusion. When it's fully functioning, and we're seeking volunteers to help with this, within that area, no women will be more than about 2 hours away from emergency obstetric care. Will there be ambulance retrieval to the waiting areas and radio contact? So all women in that area can have the simple dignity of facing the childbirth with some degree of confidence and not run the very real risk of dying during their labour or even suffering a fistula during their labour. This is the beginning of an enormous task to stop women from dying or getting fistulas during pregnancy across Africa. We estimate that 2,000 of these networks need to be built. This is the first. and it's a pilot project, and when it's up and running, it will be making an impact, because in that area at the moment there's nothing for pregnant women. When it's functioning, we can go to the next stage and replicate it across Africa. So this is the first one to be built, and when that's completed and running successfully, there's only 1,999 to go to help all the rest of the ladies across Africa to be able to deliver a child safely.
Wa milele, Mungu wetu ni wa milele. Haleluya.